Hi, I am Zoe, and this is Paranormal Extraction, and I am the supernatural interviewer. And today I have my partner in crime, Crystal, is with me, and we're going to be talking about Ouija boards. Is it harmful or harmless recreation? So here we go. This is a big topic for Crystal and I, and we could go off and get pissed off or whatever, but this is a big topic, and one thing I want to say is play, you pay, and that is probably the title that it should be. Ouija boards, play, you pay. So I just want you guys to understand today that I actually have a lot of my notes, and some of these notes came from Paranormal Daily News, which I did an article for. So I may be referring to this every once in a while, but I wanted to just kind of show you a little bit about the Ouija board. And there's Crystal. Here is, oh, hi. Oh, you can't see me. Hi, hello. Here is a picture of the Ouija board. And I just kind of wanted to show you what it looks like if you don't know. Now this was trademarked and it belonged to Parker Brothers, but now it goes through Hasbro. Its original name, possibly Ouija, is an Egyptian language meaning good luck, or it might have come through Ouija on someone's locket and they decided to name it Ouija. Now the interesting thing about it is that you can see how old. Look at how old that picture is, and it was $1.50. In 1891, it sold for $1.50. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, 1891, sorry. It sold for $1.50, and that's when it began. It was made to contact the dead, and the origins, like I said, of the name of it are kind of murky, and it became a huge success. And anyway, so that's just kind of a basic idea of where it came from. It says $1 on here, but actually, when I did my research, it was $1.50 when it first came out. So let's go ahead and start our discussion on Ouija boards, and I can get rid of that one. Hi, how you doing?
Doing okay. Doing okay.
So, why don't we go into a little bit about our stories. I'm going to let Crystal start about the dangerous repercussions of using a Ouija board, and that comes from her personal experience and my personal experience. So, Crystal, why don't you go ahead and what would you like to say today, Miss Crystal woman with crystals in front of her?
Well, first of all, you look beautiful.
Well, thank you for being here yourself, and you don't look so bad yourself, girl.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you for having me again. So, okay, one story I could share, I can kind of just flash back to when I was young. And my family and my parents kind of grew up with, like, watching The Exorcist. So I always knew what a Ouija board was. But that was a movie and a thing that my mom did not allow me to watch or play with when I was little. She made it very clear. And so, anyhow, because she was kind of already aware of some of these things that could happen using spirit boards or Ouija boards. But when I was about 13, my best friend and I got our hands on a Ouija board. And it was what did you say, Parker Brothers used to make it?
Well, yeah, it's Hasbro now.
Hasbro. Oh, okay.
It came out as
I knew it was one of those toy companies, right?
Yeah.
And you can just get them at Target or anything like that.
Yeah,
So we got one. It was not hard to get it,
Right, exactly.
And we were just dumb and wanting to have fun and see what we could do. So we just asked it stupid questions and things like that. Eventually, the other girls I was with playing it with, they got bored, and they thought that we were manipulating a planchette.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Just a second. The thing that you put your hands on, because some people probably don't know about it, is that it's the board, and it's got like A through Z on it. Goodbye, hello, yes, no. There's a planchet that is kind of the shape of almost a heart, and you put your fingers on one side of it, and your player, your other person that's with you, puts their fingers on the other side. So you had a planchet. That's what you were calling it, and that's the name of it.
I used to call it a cursor because this is reminding me like of a mouse, you know.
Oh.
But anyways, yeah. So we were playing that. They got bored, but you know me, I've always had that connection with the spirits, and I was just intrigued because I knew that I wasn't moving it, and it was like it felt like a magnet was pulling it. So I sat there and I entertained myself, and I played by myself, kind of like on The Exorcist. The little girl played it by herself. So I played by myself, and I was just kind of asking it questions, and it was messing with me. And the one thing that I finally asked it was, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And it went to in the middle of the board, so it was like between yes and no. And then I'm like, again, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And it did the same thing. So then I started getting mad, and I said, "Well, you must." Guys, I'm gonna say what I said back then because I was a dumb kid, and I don't.
I don't know. You scare me sometimes when you say you don't. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I asked it, it was a derogatory word that was used for like a boy, and I asked it, "Are you? So you're a faggot?" And it got pissed. That was the wrong question to ask it because it got pissed off, and it flew the planchet like it just flew out of my hands, and it hit the wall. And then immediately, the other girls were still there, like talking in the corner, but they heard that and they saw that happen. And we started hearing this growling sound coming from another room. And we were alone on a Friday night. The girls' parents were out of town or something. So it was just 4 little teenager girls. And it got so mad. And so we heard some kind of growling coming from the like kitchen area, which was totally far from where we were. It sounded like a beast, you know, it was a beast. And everybody got up and ran out of the front door, but I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. My best friend had to like drag me out, and until she actually like got me outside of the door is when I could finally move my legs. And we ran home.
So you were like, you felt paralyzed then?
Yeah, it was kind of like when you have like that sleep paralysis and you can't move, or like, you know, you're just in so much shock.
Right.
Like that.
Because you were hearing like a monster.
Yeah.
It was like
I don't know if I was like paralyzed like that because I was in shock or because like something had a hold on me.
Right.
You know?
Well, now that we do what we do, which we're supernatural light workers, I think that we didn't really know our gifts when we were so young, because I didn't really know what was going on with me. It started at probably, well, I was in kindergarten, I think. Let's see, no, I was in grade school, and that's when I used to go to the library, and my mom used to find me up in the cold section. I wasn't down playing baby books, that was for sure. But we didn't really know our gifts, so possibly, you know, I mean, you already had a gift, so it very well could have been something that could have gotten a hold of you and pushed you down.
Mm-hmm. And whatever it was, obviously I made it really mad, you know.
You made it really mad.
Understandably, but yeah. So what happened was the girl ended up bringing the Ouija board to school and giving it to my best friend, and because that was hers, and then she got rid of it. I think she threw it in the trash in the dumpster, and the dumpsters used to be in our alley, in our backyard.
Right.
And a couple years later, my best friend was going through her like utility closet or something like that at her house, and she found it. It was there again.
Yes. Well, first of all, the Ouija board actually, its big, huge debut was right when you were talking about The Exorcist. So when The Exorcist first came out and they showed it on there, then it became like Hollywood's big, you know, anytime there was like some kind of horror movie, it was all revolved around the Ouija board, which gave it a really bad name. Okay, but because it used to be used in seances and things like that back when it first came out. But then once that happened, then it became something that was malevolent. How do you say that, Dee? Malevolent?
Malevolent.
Malevolent. Yeah, I know, just.
Benevolent.
I am not here today. Where am I?
Malevolent's
Oh
good,
my God, this
I like
is
it
way
better,
too
actually.
funny. It's always funny with you.
I like the extra L in there.
Well, my first experience was also when I did the article for Paranormal Daily News is I wanted to let you know that generally most of the time, and this, if you want to go look at the article or if you want to look at other things about it, they're usually found, these Ouija boards are found in like a closet, like you said, on top of a dumpster. They could be found in a basement or just placed somewhere where the person ends up finding it. So a lot of people don't even go out and buy these. They actually find them or they're handed to them by somebody else, which is pretty creepy, all right? My experience was I was probably about 14 and my grandpa, they had a farm and they had a big basement where you walk down into. You can't even see me. They had a big basement that they walked down into, and it was full of tools and, you know, stuff for the farming equipment and all of that. And there was a bunch of like boxes and stuff, and I was little enough to where I could get into the back of where these boxes were. And I was just crawling around while my grandpa was down there. And way, way back, because back then I was, you know, a real tomboy. I mean, like, I'm already a tomboy, but I'm a tom girl now. I'm a tom girl. Tom girl, not a tomboy. And I'm not going to say what you said for a boy. Anyways, I was down and looking through the back of these boxes, and I saw this old, it was really, really old. I swear to God, you want to talk about when these things came out, it was like one of the originals. I should have kept it. I should have kept it. I could have sold it for so much money. That's so horrible to say. But I did. It was one of the original ones, and it was in this really creepy box, and it was all falling apart, kind of all yellowish. And so I took that Ouija board when my grandpa wasn't looking and stuffed it in my suitcase and took it back home with me. And to make a long story short, my girlfriend and I at the time, her parents were gone too. So when her parents were gone, we put a little candle on the floor, and we were playing with it, and it became an obsession for me. I really became completely obsessed by it. I know you can't see me, so I'm moving in and out. It became such an obsession that we couldn't stop playing it. And it wasn't just then. I mean, we would be up all night asking it questions, and it was answering. Then it started telling us like true stuff, you know, that was happening. And so we became more obsessed. And then, so she wasn't around, so I did the same thing you did. I started playing it on my own. And that planchette moved on its own. And it's not supposed to move on its own when there's not another player. And there's all kinds of scientific reasons why this planchette moves, and I'm not going to get into that. But I became so obsessed with this, and then it started telling me horrifying things. And I got so flipped out when I was using it that I actually, something told me to burn it. The only way to get rid of this Ouija board was to burn it. I was not supposed to put it in the trash. I was not supposed to put this anywhere, but actually burn it. So I took it to my girlfriend's house again, and they had a fireplace, and we burned it in the fireplace. And from what I have done my research on, that is the only way to really get rid of any evil presence that surrounds that board or you at the time. And it must be done. If not, then somebody else is going to find it and use it, and then they're going to get in trouble. So you may think it's a toy, but it is not a toy.
No
The other
toys.
thing I want to say is that,
Sorry.
really quickly here, which is never quick, sometimes it is, right? The other thing I want to say too is EVPs. Now, there's a lot of paranormal people out there, and Crystal, we work together.
Hang on a second. The phone is going haywire from that last part of the conversation.
What?
Phone's haywire.
The phone went haywire when we started talking about this, Crystal.
Yeah, I can't figure it out. I'm getting it. Let me see.
Are you serious?
It's just fading in and out on darkness and lightness. It won't. I'm worthless. But let's put the Ouija board away.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know. What's something? Not
What?
me. Hang on.
Crystal.
Let's
I
see.
know, I'm listening.
Whoa. Okay. Must have scared it away, or whatever
That
you
isn't
guys
funny.
did. Well, I got it finally.
It's not funny.
You guys.
I don't have any. I have nothing. I don't even know what to say. I mean, come on, that's just a little odd.
Those fading dark light couldn't make the screen do what I'm
Okay,
supposed.
so
Cameraman work.
talking about this, obviously, we're calling in something that is not of a good purpose. And it's interesting because I started to talk about EVPs. And Crystal and I are on board. We still do have our own paranormal company that we go in as light workers and help people. We use no equipment that paranormal investigators use, absolutely none. And we just use our gifts that the Lord has given us. And we go in and help. We don't ghost hunt. A lot of these people out there, and they get pissed off when I say this. They get mad when we say this. That, you're playing with all this equipment, the EVPs, the EMFs, and you're playing with all this equipment. What you're doing is, what is an EVP? It's electromagnetic voice phenomena. Okay, and they're using, those little voice boxes that they use when they go on ghost hunts on TV, and it says, "My name is Betty." Well, why doesn't it say, "Betty who? Betty Boop"?
Why doesn't it say it in Yugoslavian?
Yeah, why doesn't it say it in French or anything else or have an accent? Now, the whole EVP thing, when I had a show for the radio show, that's a whole separate subject if you want to go into the scientific background on that. But the EVP is actually a Ouija board. Think about it.
Audio.
It's an audio Ouija board. So you're going to go in and you're going to play with spirits, and you're not going to know what's going on, and you're not going to know about, how to cleanse or how to respect them or not go in. And you're just going to go around and play. That's why I say play, you pay. Right, Crystal?
Right.
Have you contacted your friends since this?
Oh, yeah, she's my best friend still.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You still have all her arms and
No,
legs?
she was finally able to get rid of it. Her mom disposed of it, and I'm not really sure exactly what she did. And unfortunately, her mom just passed away like a couple weeks ago. But yeah, she was able to get rid of it.
What
Finally.
what were we just talking about? I'm all mixed up now. Okay, EVPs. All right, so that's what EVPs are. Before I get into my next story, do you have another story, or do you know somebody? I mean, I've known several people, and it's not good. I mean, anytime this happens, then it's
I
not
just
good.
had a couple things to share, so I'll say one more before you get started, and I'll keep it short, so not into details, but just for example, now I grow up and I'm an adult. This is just a few years ago, and I've developed my skills, and I know about spiritual protection and all that, right? And I don't usually use those boards. I don't own any because I don't need them, but a friend of mine wanted to contact somebody, and so we used not a Ouija board. It was called an enchanted. I don't really want to say the name of it because I am kind of friends with the makers of it, and they're really good people. But
Okay.
it's still a spirit board, okay?
Okay.
And at first, the spirit that was contacted was going along with it and saying, like, you know, confirming that it was who she wanted to deal with. And I kept saying, I just had a weird feeling. I said, you know what? And I'm getting the chills right now. I said, always be careful because there's tricksters and they will mess with you in the beginning to gain your trust.
Yes. Thank you.
And then once they have you, you know.
Yeah.
So it ended up that finding out it started to mess with her and it wasn't the right person, and we closed that out and everything. But it's just an example of you never know. It's like, it doesn't really matter how knowledgeable you are or how knowledgeable you think you are or experienced. These things will still mess with you.
The perfect word that you said is trickster, because that's exactly what it is that they're tricksters. It's just like the EVP I said, you know, they're tricksters. They're saying one word, or they're making it out to be one word, or whatever they're doing, but they are definitely tricksters. They make it seem really cool. Okay, what are these things, Crystal? Let's talk about that. I keep saying things. So why don't you go ahead and spin off on what are these things? Explain to people what that means.
Sure. Okay, so let's start off with the positive end of things. Yes, you could definitely communicate with a good spirit, but like I always say, with any time a good spirit is around, you'll know. They'll let you know who they are. They'll let you know if it's a loved one. They don't try to scare you, and they're not nonchalant. Okay, so that's the good end of it. And you don't need a Ouija board to communicate with your loved ones. Okay, so end of that. Then we go on to darker spirits, which, you know, they're ghosts. They could just be lower vibrating energies. Demons. You don't want to deal with demons, and those, unfortunately, demons do come through a lot with Ouija boards. And lost souls.
Yes.
They're not always bad, but they're not in a vibrating high enough. That's not a kind of spirit that you want to work with.
I actually agree with you 100%. And here I go again. I could go off on all the different realms that there are of spirit, but that's a whole nother show for us.
Right.
But thanks for explaining what that is, because I agree, and that was a short kind of rundown on what they are. But I just want to tell you a little story about the radio show. And when we had our worldwide radio show, we had somebody on, and I was a little ambivalent about having a person on that's a ghost hunter, because I am so anti-EVP, EMFs, and all of that, knowing that they definitely can be evil, not so much the EMFs, but the EVPs. Invited him on, and anyways, he got out all of his equipment in there because the CEO came in and he was so mesmerized by it. He wanted the equipment. He wanted him to go get his equipment. So on the break, he went and got his equipment and came back with it all, which was the EVP, the EMF, and he had, what else was it, Dee?
Cameras,
we had cameras and microphones and all of that.
It was complete ghost hunter on.
Yeah, it was a complete kit. Anyways, kit is what I call it.
Kit works for sure.
Definitely a kit. And I had already known that there was a spirit in there, and we were just so busy doing the radio show that I just said, look, I'll deal with you sometime when I have the time to deal with you, because I know that and I knew it was a woman and she needed help. And so this guy got going, his EMS, and the CEO wanted to ask him questions. So he asked him a few questions, and I was over in the corner now. I said, well, I'm going to go in the corner, and I'm going to see if I can find, get in contact with this woman's spirit.
Where we saw
and as I was in the corner, I look over at Dee and this other guy, I'm not going to say his name, and their eyes were like saucers, and they're pointing at, they said, there is a big shadow going over the wall towards me. It was like a big shadow that came across. So I was kind of a little bit, I was kind of a little freaked out, but I just thought, oh well, whatever. So they started the show, and it went very badly. There was all kinds of stuff coming through the EMF. I was in the back still with the girl, talking to the girl because that's who they wanted to contact. And I actually did no protection work. It was so fast, and the CEO was there, and I wanted to, impress him, of course. And I didn't do, to prepare for this. It takes me a good hour in the morning just to do a meditation, a cleansing, to go into the environment, to do the cleansing, okay, which we could talk about the cleansing and all that as well. That's a whole nother show. And I didn't do anything, and I was tired. And I'm back there, and they're doing all of this EVP, and the voices are coming through, and we're live on the radio. And all of a sudden, Crystal, I had an absolute breakdown. I could not function. I was crying so I could feel her spirit in me now. I could feel her pain of her death, and she was actually killed by her boyfriend, and they were the #1 paranormal team. I'm going to tell you who they are, the Constantines, and you can look them up. Constantino. You can look it up. They were the first people on Ghost Hunters and the biggest investigators besides Lorraine, the Warrens, if you want to look into that. So she was killed, actually, and he shot her through the head. And I felt all her pain and everything in me. I broke down. I couldn't stop crying. I took off. I left the radio show. I left. I said, I'm done. I'm out of here. And I didn't even say anything. And on the way out, someone was coming in, and I just had my head down. I was crying. I literally sat in my car for 15 minutes. And I had to compose myself back to, being able to go back in there. But when I went back in there, they were done, thank God, right? And so after this happened, I knew, first of all, that we shouldn't have had this in that studio. And now I was like, I knew that she was in there, and now I'm going to have to do something about this. Well, the next day, the CEO was in the radio sound booth, and that's where I was always is in the sound booth. And there was up here, there's a vent up here on our ceiling, and he was sitting all the way over here, and the vent is way over there. It's not above me. And in that vent, there's a fan, because it has to stay cool in there. So he was sitting here, and he's told me, he said, Zoe, the fan broke through the vent and flew all the way over to him, and he said it almost hit me that far. I said, look, you do not, we've unleashed something in here that is so bad by doing the EVP. It is the same thing as a Ouija board. We've unleashed it, and I really need to come in and help. I need to come in. I need to do my full, cleansing process, which is going to take a while. Well, this was over Christmas, and more things started happening in there. So we go away for Christmas, and I told him, I said, look, can I put some candles in here, and can I do that? And he was like, oh, no, everything's going to be fine. No, because they actually didn't believe us anyways, our radio show. We were just an experiment. They didn't believe in it. So, over Christmas, I keep doing it, over Christmas, guess what?
What happened?
He died of a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And that was, I finally told Dee, I said, I'm done. I will not go into that radio station again. I don't care if this is a worldwide radio show, because these are my values, and this is something that if they don't want any help, then I'm not going in. And so we quit. And after that, there was at least 2 other people that died of heart attacks in there. And I'm not kidding. This really happened. And I feel really badly that I wasn't able to help, but they didn't want any help. But when you unleash and you play, okay, you play with these things and you unleash them, then these are the consequences that you are going to have, which we can go into, Crystal. IOP. Now you know about IOP, right? Infestation is the first one. When you play these things, what can happen is there's an infestation that starts. It's called IOP. And that's with whisperings, you hear footsteps, you feel another presence. O, what is O? A lot of people will feel that beginning phase when they start to play the Ouija board, just like you said. Okay, you heard that growling or whatever. Then we're going to talk about oppression. That's the weakness. Okay, so maybe your health. I've got my little notes here. Your psychological state starts to break down, and you're in a weakened state, maybe depression, anxiety. Okay, now we're going into full-on possession, which is what? That is the bad spirit. When you have complete personality changes, you have dietary changes, your sleep patterns change, your voice can change. And believe me, I have dealt with people like this, and I have done some exorcisms after this has gone into this phase. So this really happens. I mean, you don't think it happens? You can look at the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has more than tripled its exorcists. I mean, they were looking for him everywhere. I mean, not exorcists.
Exorcisms.
Exorcists. The guys that came in to do the exorcisms. They did that like unbelievable. They tripled it or went up 4 or 5 times the amount of priests that they were looking to do this. And I even had a priest contact me, all right, Crystal, and one of his requirements was that I would have to be Catholic. And I told him, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say that I'm Catholic and lie to you. And so that was off. I couldn't do anything. So that's what I have to say about it. Is there anything else you want to say about it? I just don't think they're good. And I am very passionate about this. Crystal, I'm handing it over to you.
Okay, I'll be quick. I just have a couple more things. And you pretty much said it, but I just wanted to go back to like when you were mentioning about the possession part, oppression part, and how their health can start failing. They might start looking different and stuff like that. I'm not going to say any names because I'm not going to be that person today, but I know a lot of people like in the paranormal community that, social media wise, that are really sweet people, and they, they're ghost hunters and they're this and they're that, but they post a lot of stuff about mental illness and being depressed and having anxiety and taking medications. And I'm not knocking that. You guys know what I do for a living. I help people like that, but you just can't help but wonder, is it because of all this stuff that you're always going on all these ghost adventures and going to these haunted places and using EVP and using all those tools? Like, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer.
Crystal, what about when they get scratched and they think it's funny and they show the scratches? Go ahead, keep going.
Scratch, bruise, handprints, all kinds of pulling their hair, all that stuff. And then, some of them think it's funny, but I know people that don't think it's funny. They're scared out of their freaking minds.
Well,
because they don't realize what they've gotten themselves into.
It just doesn't make any sense to me why you would want to hunt ghosts. I mean, they don't want to be hunted. The word hunt is so... And Zach Bagans, I can go off on Zach Bagans and ghost hunters. That guy has shown people what to do in a very negative way. And I have some stuff on Zach Bagans when I did the Travel Channel. Dee and I did the Travel Channel for one of the shows on TV. And I'm not going to get into that. And you have your own story on Zach Bagans. But I don't think it's funny. And I think people should really hear about this. That none of it's good. It's just not good. And they need to show goodness, the real thing. So I agree with you on that, on infestation, oppression, and full-on possession, and playing around. Is there anything else that you'd want to talk about?
Well, just real quick, even when you were talking about that experience you had at the radio station, and so that involves people that were obviously very, established in this kind of work and experience with these kinds of things, and you guys all still had that horrible of an experience. So that should just show people right now that, nobody really has any business working with Ouija boards. That's just my opinion, but especially if you have not developed your psychic skills and abilities. But even if you have, listen to what Zoe just said. Something really bad can still happen to you, even if you are up there.
I agree with you 100%. And all I can say is, I'm going to say it again, and this was our motto for so long. All we used to do is play, you pay, play, you pay. And getting this through to the general public, but of course, for your entertainment purposes only, it's on TV, unfortunately. And there's a lot of people out there that don't have those skills to do it in the most right and appropriate way and respecting the other side. So, I don't know. I could talk about this all day, and I know you could too. But do you have anything else you want to say? Because I think it is definitely it's not harmless recreation, all right? And it's not a game. It's dangerous. So if someone wants to play with it, then let's have them find out. That's all I can say, right?
Yeah, and don't call me because I don't do that shit anymore. You got to pay me a lot if you want me to go to your house and help you with that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, well, that one that one job we were gonna have at that huge housing district. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I was asking you, and you're like, hell no. And I was like, they'd have to pay me a lot of money. And I was like, okay, so let's figure this out. Well, we didn't end up doing that job. And anytime, I'm into it, man. I'm not afraid at all. I love it, man. I'll go in. I'll do any of that stuff, man. I'll be right in that door helping those people. But Crystal will do it remotely and help me with your gift. And explain what your gift is when you help me remotely, because nobody understands that.
Well, I just kind of use my psychic investigation side. So I go into a meditation and I can actually see things clairvoyantly. I don't have to be where she's at. She doesn't even have to describe to me. She can just say, hey, I'm on my way to this place. I'll call you later. And I just already start getting visions of what she's going to actually see or experience there. And then we talk maybe a couple hours later the next day, and boom, we exchange notes, and it's usually pretty much on point. But Zoe, even me, being remote and far, not going in there like you do, I still feel things, and sometimes I still get followed by things.
I know.
Just opening ourselves up to that.
When we got the initial job at the surplus store, do you remember that? And Vic, God bless him, he's rest in peace. He's on the other side. Him and I went in, and I had called Crystal about it. And prior to going in, she said exactly where every single thing was at inside without even going inside of this surplus place, which had a lot of old army equipment. And you saw it all. So when we went in there, you had already told us where everything was at, and we just went in to confirm it. So that's how good Crystal is, and that's what Crystal does. So, and that helps me greatly, and I need her by my side anytime I do this, and that can be from far away. So I guess that's it. That's what you do. What do? I go in and I kick ass.
She's the demon slayer.
I like my outfit today because this is really who I am. I'm goth, whatever you want to call me. I like my black. All right, so anything else, or are we going to roll this up?
I guess we can roll it up. Just remember to, think about your loved ones who have passed away. And sometimes not everybody goes to the great place right away. And another thing you could do when you're playing with the Ouija board is you could pull in a lost soul, thinking that they might think that you're going to be able to help them. And if you're not that right guy to help them, you leave them stuck in the middle of a dimension. So they're stuck. So you also mess with other spirits that aren't bad, that may be looking for help, and you probably aren't. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not the one to help them. So think of it that way too. It's not just scary; it can be really sad.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And that's really it. I don't have anything else to say about Ouija boards.
I agree. I agree with you 100% on that one. And I think you guys all know how we feel about this. And so we're going to roll this up and say over and out. And thanks for being here. Also, I wanted to say that if you have interest in Crystal and any of the hypnosis that she does or readings, you can always email me through Paranormal Extraction on Facebook or paranormalextraction@gmail.com. So we'll just roll this up and we'll be on again speaking about something else. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. We only do one take. We do not refilm over and over and over, and we don't cut this up. We want to be real. So all you out there that are at home, thank you so much for being with us, and God bless. Thank you. And thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, guys.
Peace out.